there is a better way, and you have to be open and honest and actually take everything else away and really just dial in within and trust yourself. Trust yourself. Just release that fear. Really just know that life is meant to be loved and lived full on.
Welcome to the Well With Cannabis podcast, a show dedicated to telling the life-changing stories of those who live well with cannabis, all while teaching you how to do the same. Meet your host, Emily Kyle, a registered dietitian nutritionist turned certified holistic cannabis practitioner. Emily changed her life for the better with the help of the cannabis plant, and now she is committed to helping others do the same. Tune in each week to hear heartwarming stories and gain the knowledge you need to feel connected, inspired, and supported on your own cannabis journey. Whether you're a new cannabis consumer or a lifetime lover, you'll benefit from these uplifting tales of real-life journeys that will show you how you too can live your best life well with cannabis.
Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share a note on potentially sensitive content. The episodes on the Well With Cannabis podcast are created for adult audiences only. We will at times cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to suicide, abuse, mental illness, sex, drugs, alcohol, psychedelics, and the obvious use of plant medicine. Explicit language may be used occasionally. Please refrain from watching or listening to the show if you're likely to be offended or adversely impacted by any of these topics. The information on this show is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. If any of the content on this podcast has brought up anything for you, please reach out or speak to a professional or someone you trust. All right. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Well With Cannabis podcast. And I am so excited to be here with Miss Sharyn. And she wrote, when she was reaching out to me, she goes, I want my passion to be felt and understood. And I have no doubt that we are going to feel your passion for the cannabis plant in this interview. So welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Emily. It is truly an honor to be here with you. So just thank you for allowing me to have some time in your space.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank you. So you have a fantastic lifelong journey, and I would love to get into that and discuss that so our listeners can just learn more about how this plant has helped you.
Honestly, I think everyone at this point, we're all adults, right? We can all say we've maybe had an undercover relationship when it comes to this beautiful plant. Absolutely. For whatever reason, whether it's the stigma, whether it's our backgrounds, whether it is, obviously the law, so to speak. So I'll be honest with you, when I say lifelong, I was not one of those fortunate or not, if you want to say, kids that were able to experiment really in high school. That just wasn't, the crowd and, where I was in life. And so I honestly did not even have my first toke until college. And when I tell you that life just became kind of like, what have I been missing? Kind of feel like really, who's been holding out on me? Because it honestly has been just a beautiful experience. A really why isn't everyone allowed and afforded this opportunity to be educated on something that is truly homeopathic? I mean, it literally grows from the ground. And it's not something that was created in a lab that, of course, is pushed on us now as a society. It's not something that just accidentally happened as a hybrid, mistake. It was something that was created. And really, if we're going to be honest, our country was founded behind the basis and support of this plant. Of course, that's not in the history books. We weren't taught that in history class. And I live here in Virginia. I mean, do you not think that would be something that would, maybe be part of our Virginia history lessons growing up? No. But, here we are. It's a beautiful thing. It's all coming full circle and being able to come out. And so, yeah, it's a really, really cool experience.
Tell me a little bit about your experience coming out, because you do quite very publicly share your love for cannabis now. So tell me a little bit about that, because I think that's one of the hardest parts for all of us, is that initial coming out phase, because it seems so scary. So give me a little bit about your story and share kind of where you're at now and if it was worth it.
I've always been part of the public, so to speak, because of my background. My degree is in exercise and health promotion. So I've been always in front of people, advocating and campaigning for a healthy lifestyle. And always, even way back then, not wanting to, push people towards the pharmaceutical route and how you could intervene well before it gets to that point. That's always been something I've done, over 25 years. So people trust me because, I'm certified, I'm experienced, I'm a product of what I preach. And so with COVID coming out, a lot of things happen with jobs, so to speak, depending on, where you were in life. And so I was a huge proponent for just transparency. And when we all, of course, were sent home and everything was shut down, things had to change. And within wellness and fitness as well, we aren't in front of people. But a lot of people are hurting, still are. You know what I mean? A lot of people were stressed. A lot of people were kind of, not knowing exactly what was going to happen. And everyone coped in their way. Some people were huge into wine. Some people like myself were huge into fitness and getting the Peloton and, living like that. Some people, of course, were pushed in other ways with how to cope. Cannabis definitely was something that became forefront. And I'm not going to say crutch because I had other things to help me cope as well. Yes. But cannabis really, truly saved my life. It helped with the ease of anxiety. It definitely, truly offsetted the lack or the onset of depression. It definitely helps with, so obviously, and you know that, Emily, all these things. And so with knowing that we could never go back to the way it was with regard to myself and fitness and just the industry as a whole, I just realized life is short. We don't know what's going to happen. And if I'm going to be totally transparent with what I do, and everyone knows I always share what I love, why I'm an adult in a law now in a state that, allows it. I'm pulling it off, ripping the Band-Aid and sharing and showing that you can be a productive member of society. You can raise kids, you can be married happily or not. It doesn't matter about that part, but you can be doing so many things publicly. And why not show that cannabis can be something that people do? We're not the stereotypical, how people like to paint the picture. And so I ripped it professionally. It has not had me stumble in any way. I no longer work for the organization I work for because it was a city organization, and that's fine. No truths here. No lies here. It is what it is. Take it or leave it. I'm happy. I'm healthy. And you can more than welcome come on board and learn and open your mind or live the life that you're living and see if it is one that you want.
That is beautiful. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy to hear that it has not impacted your career, because I feel like a lot of professionals are extremely, extremely worried. And I had the same experience as a registered dietitian. I was like, oh my God, if people found out, I'll never have a job again. And here, we might see this as a reoccurring theme in this podcast, but cannabis has given me so much more and has changed my career as well. And I almost see that for you coming up as well. I would love to talk more about health and fitness, because I think the intersection of health and fitness professionals and cannabis we're right here. We're ready for it. And so
we are.
Oh, so ready for it. So I'd love to hear more about how you incorporate that into a healthy lifestyle, because the traditional stereotype is that cannabis users are lazy, apathetic, don't exercise. And personally, I exercise so much more now because of cannabis. And I exhibit so many more healthy behaviors because I feel well overall. So I'd love to explore what that looks like for you.
Well, that's a great question. And I think you're absolutely right. We are here at the cusp. Like, you can just kind of feel it building, this momentum, like within our industry, things have got to change. We've got to be able to be progressive enough, and not the fad diets, right? Not the fatty stuff. This is not a fad. Yes. And being open and honest with what's traditionally recommended, whether it be antidepressants. And before I go into all that, like, I understand there is a place for that, right? We're not saying
absolutely, absolutely.
This is the end all be all. Like, I'm very 100%. Sensitive about, I'm not saying that, but I am advocating that as quickly as we can promote that, there's so many other options that we can promote that shouldn't have the stigma, should not have the judgment sometimes that's associated with it. And at least for me personally and professionally, I see it as like my prescription. I don't have any prescriptions. My husband, my children, we don't participate in any kind of medical intervention outside of, our well women visit, our well man visit, annual stuff for the kids. But I see it as my prescription. depending on my day, depending on, what I'm doing and my dosage. And, if I've got heavy things, I'm going to change to a sativa to start, versus, depending on the day. So I really see it how some people say, prescriptions or, like my family always say, it's time to take our vitamins, and we have certain things that we do, like we do our zinc and, all that kind of stuff. And so I see it as a daily integral part of my life, just like people pop a multivitamin. Cannabis is, I hate to say a multivitamin, so to speak, but it is level,
a supplement, a daily supplement.
It is a daily supplement. And just like you take your fish oil, depending on your, if you have some mood issues or if there's certain things you would take more of depending, whatever your symptom that you're trying to help alleviate. Same thing with cannabis. I'll have a gummy for this, I'll do a tincture for this, flower for certain reasons, you know what I mean? And so it's just common sense at this part to me, I'm able to obviously be very productive, very much carry on, not stumble. And so people need to understand there's such a wide opportunity for education and insertion, and it not giving you even a fraction of the side effects and whatnot that sometimes people, have to deal with when they have to go more traditional pharmaceutical routes.
Absolutely. And I think I would love to know a little bit more about your exercise experience with cannabis as well, because I find people really have a hard time seeing how they blend together, but I feel like we both know that they do. And I'd love to hear a little bit, especially because you are hosting an elevated yoga experience as well. And so I want to talk more about that because I feel like that is going to be like the next goat yoga on the Today Show, like I want to learn more about this.
Yeah. I will say that I have to be honest with the fact exercise is something that is obviously a huge part of my life. My family knows it, everyone knows that about me. I've been teaching and training since 1996. So it's not a fad for me, but I'm not going to say obsession, but it's just something that is important. And so for me, when I was playing around, especially back during COVID, when we had nowhere to go, right? You have to figure things out quickly and be able to experiment without, any risk or anything to anyone else, because you're on your own figuring things out. Depending if I'm going out for a run or even just a walk around the block, I'm going to get a sativa. You know what I mean? I'm going to definitely know to just kind of have some, and I'll be honest with you, lemon haze is one of my favorite because I just kind of get narrowed in and it's just a tremendous, and you don't know until you know, and you have to trust yourself to experience and be open that there's some beautiful things when you explore with this plant. It's not, from back in the day when you watch like Half Baked, that movie, that shows just the recreational. It's really been fine-tuned. And so now you're able to know, well, depending on this terpene, I want to have this effect. So, I'm kind of like into it now that way. So you don't waste time, right? You don't waste money, you know what I mean? And you are able to really not hyper speed your experience, but at least go past the bell curve of learning, right?
Yes.
And that's the beautiful part. When you know with your terpene what you want, I'll do a sativa if I want to do a walk or run, out and about in the neighborhood. If I'm on my bike, if I'm wanting something with a little bit more intensity, I'm going to go with a hybrid so that, I can get some of the endorphins, some of the focus as well, and be able to enjoy my workout. But it's just a different experience. It's different. And I don't want to say like a kumbaya. I'm not trying to say that.
I feel like that though. I mean, it is like, imagine like, it's like runner's high with cannabis high, like the two together to me is, I've always struggled with my relationship with exercise until I incorporated cannabis into my relationship with exercise.
And
now I'm like, I love working out. I love the way it makes me feel. It's just that feeling afterwards of floating. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it. It is so enjoyable.
It is. It that like the almost like in a movie when, you get panned in. And so the person gets panned in right here. And all of this is kind of fuzzy. And it's not fuzzy because there's something wrong with your vision, right? But it's just, you just become one, and you get in like this vibe, and you get in this zone, and it really is a beautiful experience, and it helps people for sure connect with themselves. You're able to just kind of take away the stresses of life. You just kind of get dialed in, so to speak, you know, whether you're goal oriented or whether you're just, I'm here, I'm glad I'm here and I showed up oriented. You know what I mean? Check the box. Yep. It really is a great compliment that I can't, I'm sad when I have to take a pre-workout versus my cannabis. You know what I mean? Like, it's really a great, yeah, man.
I know, right? Like I just, if everyone could just experience it for themselves and see how wonderful it is. Like if we could obviously just tell you it's amazing. And it really is like, I would say cannabis is a tool in your tool belt of wellness. And you can just, and one thing you had mentioned too, is that you can tweak it depending on your needs for the day. So a lot of people, when they come to me with cannabis are like, you know, just tell me what to take. They want like that pill regimen. And it's so different than that. And like, once you get into the terpenes and the cannabinoids and the different ways you can manipulate it during different phases of your life, I feel like if people can understand that and take that away from this, it's really important, because cannabis, and maybe you agree with me, is like a journey that comes along with you. It's like your relationship with your diet or your relationship with health. Like it's with you always, but it's always changing.
Yes, it is. It is very much a personalized experience, and it's a journey that there's no timeline, there's no deadline, you know what I mean? There's no benchmark you have to set. It really gives you permission to just kind of like, okay, I really am starting to dig my life. Oh my God. Like,
absolutely.
You know, and my kids know, like, you know, my husband and I are transparent. It's an herb. It's not a word play. It's not anything more. It's a herb. And they know mommy's going to do her happy. We call them our happy herbs because, you know, I'm not like rolling up with them. You know what I mean? I go off and excuse myself, but
of course
it's like, oh, life is like, you just, like I'm getting excited. Like
I know. So let's talk about motherhood for a little bit, because my children know what cannabis is too. And of course, I don't smoke in front of them, but they know what it is. They know it's medicine. And I love happy herb because that is a great way to talk about it with kids. If you have advice for anybody talking about it with their kids, because I find a lot of moms are just like deer in the headlights. How do I even have this conversation, or what is appropriate? And obviously all of our kids are different and we know them and what they're ready for. But do you have any advice for moms who are like really struggling with that?
I do, because I was one of those moms. I was the closet mom, you know what I mean? You know, burning the incense and, you know, going off and away and, you know, making sure that, you know, and you just get to a certain age and stage in life, and you just, and you look around and you're just like, who am I living for if I'm not living for me? And so my children were part of that journey, and, you know, speaking up for yourself, asking for your needs to be met, being honest with, you know, if things aren't great, things don't always have to be great, but, you know, finding ways to sort that out. In our household, we're transparent. And I think that would be one of my hugest pieces of advice. Just be transparent, like understand that you can't break them, right? You know, so to speak, you know, but just really being open, honest, and transparent. They're your children. They follow your lead. And if you don't raise them with the stigma and keep them open-minded, imagine if we, Emily, were all that open-minded. If we all as a race, as a society could really be transparent. My needs aren't being met, and this is why I might be acting out, right? Or, you know, as a senator, you know, or politically, oh, I'm not happy with this. We need to do, you know what I mean? Like the transparency just as a whole. So as a mom, just be transparent and owning why you do what it is that you're doing. 100%. They know, you know, mommy's not perfect. Mommy has tough days sometimes. And they know, even to the aspect, mommy doesn't want to take prescription drugs. And it's funny because, you know, what do you see? The commercials. And our youngest had a question one time, said, Mommy, why would, and she said it on her own, because that's kind of household we kind of have where we ask you to think. Why would they want to take something if the risk factors are death and runny stools? And, you know, and I laughed. Exactly why we don't really reach for pharmaceuticals for that reason. We would prefer to explore other ways. And so own why it is that you want to have cannabis. Understand, you know, it's okay. It's okay. And then being transparent with that as a mom, and just Oh man, I wish we all could really just kind of rip that fear
Yes.
out,
Yeah.
because there's so much, as you know, so many beautiful things and feelings and
Yes.
movements and moments on the other side of that fear.
On the other side, like once you get over that, I mean, life is just, someone described it as going from living life in black and white to living life in color. And someone else described
Love.
it as living life in the cold versus living life with a heated home. And I'm like, both are like,
Yeah.
it's so true. Like once you get over
Yeah.
that hump of this fear, the stigma, and once you're just like, I'm living life for me, and you're like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, and I'm going to use cannabis, and I don't care who knows it or likes it.
Right.
Life becomes so much better. And there are so many people who just echo that. So thank you again for echoing that as well, because I feel like women need to hear it over and over and over again, that the world is not going to come crashing down on them because they choose to use something that's actually better than the everyday options that we're given.
Right. You are correct. And I wish, what is that saying? They say, be who you wanted to be the person that you wish you had for you at, whatever time in life. And it's like, yeah, that's exactly part of, like, I hate, we say our mission, but it's like, it really is almost.
It is. I find that people just like me and you who have found cannabis and whose lives have been so fundamentally changed by it, like we have to go out and tell people now. Because what is the point if you don't turn around and hold someone else's hand and bring them through it? Because everybody deserves to feel as good as we feel. And I hope anybody listening to this, hopefully they already use cannabis and feel amazing. But if there's anybody listening who is still on the fence, like if we can just let you know that like there's safety, security, happiness, joy on the other side waiting for you. Like, I hope we can just send that message back out to them.
Yes. And everything, Emily, what you just said times like 3. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
If you could like heart everythingness. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I just, hopefully as more moms come out and talk about this, it gets easier for other moms as well. I know just parenting in general is so hard, but if you have like your best girlfriends or someone there to support you, the journey is so much easier. And I hope to do that in the cannabis space as well, and let people know that they're not alone. And there are so many mothers who not only use cannabis, but are kick-ass moms because of that, and who they just are so much a better version of themselves that they can be a better parent. And I'd love to like just hone that into people, because a lot of people think that cannabis and parenting can't mix. But we're just living proof that that's not true.
False. And I echo and stand behind everything you just did and said, because there is a better way, and you have to be open and honest and actually take everything else away and really just dial in within and trust yourself. Just release that fear. Really just know that life is meant to be loved and lived full on, not a fraction of what you hope and wish for, not settling just because that's what you think. There's so much more depth and just experiences that are there for you if you really live the life you want to live.
100%.
And I just, it's just it's like, it kills me sometimes when I see people, oh, well, I can't because, well, why can't you? I always say, well, why can't you? Like, life is meant to be lived. One of my sayings, and I said it before Lil Wayne did, YOLO. I have like proof of this way back in the day. I used to always say YOLO, like, what's going to happen? Like, you only live once. Like, my friends, my family, they know that about me, and they know I'm always sharing things that I love. Oh, lost the earring. Whether it's, my love of cupcakes, working out, this TV show. Cannabis is one of those things that is now like in the forefront, and it's not, anything more than just education. Everyone knows I'm huge on education, huge on listen, it's no fads when it's something coming from me. I don't talk about everything, but the things I share and with passion, like, you should know, if she's talking about it, there's validity to it. And I just am grateful that people trust me and know, like, you're going to be okay. Come on over here. Come on over to this side. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Come on over.
How are you incorporating cannabis in how you work now?
We are on a a crusade. And I say we, like my girlfriends and I, we've been, you know, of course, undercover for some time because, you know, honestly, what we were doing, some of them are still closeted, so to speak, when it comes to, you know, the cannabis closet. And it's fine. I get it. But with myself, I've been able to just say, you know what, like I said to my husband, like everyone already knows now, I might as well go ahead and pivot fully into it. And so you had mentioned earlier, I've got 2 events coming up. Super, super excited about them. A elevated yoga experience. I've had the experience of doing in a different place, an elevated yoga kind of thing too. And I loved it. They called it something different. So I won't, you know, put them out there like that. But she owns a dispensary and she has an event space that's right next door. And so it was perfect. It was, and when I did it, because, you know, at home, it's different doing your own kind of thing, you know, supplementing, but being able to see someone, at least from my side as a professional, being able to fuse it together and how dope an experience it was. And it was just like, I've got to absolutely figure out how to bring this to my community. And so we've got that coming up next month in February. We've also got a Puffin paint experience because I want to be able to have a total lifestyle experience for women. Men are great and that's fine, but you know, I'm a woman, you know, I coach women. So for me, I really, you know, like we said with the moms, like I want to be able to show that there's a way that you can have experiences and affiliate it with cannabis and they can still be classy. They can still be an experience that like, you know, I can get with this, you know what I mean? And so we want to start having events, monthly events. And so we're doing a Puffin paint event as well in the month of February. And so I'm excited because it's a private art studio. It's going to be like a thing. It's going to be a thing, a whole vibe. You know what I mean? So we're kind of doing it like a ladies. We have it like the Galentine's kind of thing. So, you know, bring your girlfriends. We've got some, you know.
So for my friends listening, will you just tell us quickly what a Puffin paint is and kind of paint the setting for, imagine if you're a middle-aged woman who's never heard of a Puffin paint activity before, explain it for whoever might not know.
A Puffin paint event is, you know, where you usually, you know, those painting events where you go with your friends, whether it's a couple event or you go with your girlfriends and it's just a night out and an artist is like either at Chili's, you know, an American restaurant or, you know, somewhere where they have a private room where you can go and just paint, a group of people get together. They have studios now because it's fairly popular and it's really fun. It's like, you know, 2 to 3 hours of just going somewhere and an artist is walking everyone through how to paint something. And it's cool because everyone's going to paint differently, right? Even it's like the game of telephone, you hear it, but everyone hears it differently. Even though the art teacher has an example and, you know, he or she, you know, talks you through it, it still is a cool experience because everyone does it differently. Why not do that with cannabis? You know what I mean? And so I'm like, I'm doing it because if I want to do it, I mean, that's cool enough for me. Let's get some girlfriends together and let's figure it out. And so it'll be our first one. We're really excited. And it's like, and the artist, she has her own studio and she's very 420 friendly. So it's like, she was like, girl, you want to do it? Use my studio. And I'm like, all right, we're in. So
that sounds
it's going to be
perfect. Where are you located?
I'm in Williamsburg. The art event is going to be in Norfolk, Virginia, but I just like to say the state of Virginia because, you know, we do travel
everywhere.
So we've got
that's so exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be dope. The yoga class is going to be in DC. So DC is very 420 friendly as well. So it's just, we're ripping the Band-Aid.
So exciting. I know, just to go out and to be the host of these events, like it takes so much balls. I'm so proud of you. And like, I've always dreamed of going to these kinds of events. I live in a small town in the middle of nowhere. I don't live in a big city. So it's not like anybody's bringing elevated yoga to me, but I hope whoever goes has the best time because these events really are the events of the future. Not only are you getting the chance to interact with you and get your expertise, you're hanging out with your girlfriends, you're feeling amazing, both from the yoga and the cannabis. It's just a win-win. So I'm so glad you're doing these.
Thank you. I am really, really excited. Our main kind of and I say art because it really is, I'm trying to make it a movement. I really foresee us being able to take retreats. Do you know what I mean? Going, whether it's domestically, of course, Vegas, they're starting to open consumption lounge. So I'm like, Vegas is probably going to be our first stop, right? Like I want to really be able to make it, of course, law allow, a whole
course.
movement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make it where it could be a destination outside of the country. Like it's got to be a lifestyle movement at this point.
Yeah.
It really does.
Well, you are on the forefront of it. I am loving this conversation. I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to jump in. I'm going to ask every guest the same 4 questions. Are you ready?
Okay, got it. Yep,
okay.
Ready.
First up, to date in your life, what are you most proud of?
Oh, this is easy. Personally, it would be I was supposed to graduate from college a long time ago, and kind of took the side route, you know what I mean? And took a 10-year break, and then realized, you know what? I'm married, I'm a mom. I can't preach education if I don't technically finish mine. And so dragged kids like 6 states back and finished my bachelor's degree, kid and husband in tow. So,
oh my gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah, like that's a box. Like, you did that. You did that.
You did that. I mean, with kids and husband in tow, like 10 times harder. Good for you. That's amazing.
Way harder. Yeah.
Yes.
Professionally, just ripping the Band-Aid and being able to, fuse my full authentic self together. Here we are right now, all this way back and done. So yeah, professionally, cannabis, personally, what I just shared about my college degree. Yep.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. So that'll segue perfect into our next question. If you could go back 10, 20, 30 years ago, give yourself any piece of advice, cannabis related, what would it be?
30 years ago, I wish I would have started sooner, but it is what it is. And, didn't know. 20 years ago, I wish I would have professionally maybe figured out a way to kind of start having that conversation, because where I was professionally at that point, I was working for the U.S. Senate. And I know it wasn't something back then that was a legal thing, so to speak. But can you imagine, Emily, if I would have so for 20 years ago, stay where you are and just trust the process, because, I kick myself on that. But, it all's part of the journey. And 10 years ago, kind of just continue on that path professionally, because, we were right there in the tri-state area of Maryland, DC, and Virginia. And so we're getting there now, with the transparency, but 10 years ago, fully transparent. I wish I would have been, man. Can you imagine?
Right. Hindsight is 2020 for sure. But I also believe everything happens for a reason, and our journeys lead us to where we're supposed to be. So our next question, what do you think your life would look like if you never tried cannabis? If you didn't have cannabis, where would you be today?
Definitely not in color. Like you mentioned, you live life black and white, and that's okay if that works for you. But it's clear with, the mental health issues that are really starting to come onto the forefront of our society, and really being honest with things are not working, whether you're a man, woman, or child. It's clear things aren't working. And so we really need to have some conversations about other ways. And so for myself, I wish that I would have, at least I know now, life would definitely be black and white, and it would not have been as in color if I did not have cannabis, because I shudder to think of it.
I totally agree.
I'm not a drinker, big drinker. I mean, I can enjoy a cocktail here and there, but it messes up my weight stuff, my body goals.
Yes, so bad.
And the hangovers and the side effects, and just
the worst.
Yeah, cannabis is so much more of a cleaner alternative. So
absolutely,
life will be very black and white for sure. Gosh,
definitely
not interested.
I know, even thinking about it, it's like terrifying. No.
Yes.
No, thank you. Last question. If you can be remembered for one thing in the cannabis space, what would it be?
She had the best of intentions, no ulterior motives. Like, I just want you guys to feel as incredibly yourself as I do.
Oh, I love that.
And I know that it might sound hokey because, if you're not in that space of healing, or you're not in that space of being receptive to it. But man, I just want people, with everything that I say and I stand for, and, I'm passionate about, there's a reason why it's lit me up inside. And it's like, there's that quote, I have it on my wall. I look at it every morning. A candle is not diminished by helping other candles be lit. Happiness never diminishes from being shared. It's like a Buddha quote, right? And so that's what I want to be remembered for within this space. Like, nothing to hide here, full transparency. Like, I want you to feel as great as I know that you can. I really do. I do.
Beautiful. I feel it so much coming from you. You literally are glowing just looking at you. I feel the love that you have. And I feel like you are going to make such an impression on not only people in person when you see them at your events, but everything that you're doing online. You have an amazing Instagram account. I was stalking before we got on here. So she's at Sharyn Danielle on Instagram and Facebook. Where else can people find you?
Thank you for that. Emily, I have my own website as well, thesolalign.com. And that is truly my lifestyle brand. I want your soul aligned. There's so many things that are a component of you, and I'm here to tell you, they all can align in this really unique way that is uniquely yours. And what looks like for me, it'll look different for you, but trust that, trust yourself and you'll have a soul line. We all are destined. That's our birthright, right? We're not here to live a life of lack and dull. That's not who we are. And so just come on over to the soul line. We'll come on, hook you up. So yeah, you can find me through IG, my Facebook, or my website. Yep.
Amazing. I will put all the links so everyone can easily find you. I know people are going to be flocking to you. You have this magnetic energy and you are just going to make all the difference in the world. I am so happy. And when I think about it, the plant brought us together to have this amazing conversation. I hope people take a lot out of it. Is there any last things you want to say before we sign off today?
I just want to thank you, Emily, for the opportunity and just really, truly helping even me kind of come out of my cannabis closet. And true story, I found you because of a brownie recipe. I wanted to I got to nail this recipe, and it's I got to nail it. My family and friends know now, yeah, she's nailed it. So it's that's how I found you. And so I'm just grateful and thankful that you have the platform that you do and that, you ripped your Band-Aid off years ago. And you're like a boss mom, boss lady, the farm. Emily is, I'm like, okay, this girl, okay, if she can do it, you show people, okay, it can be done. And so just thank you for helping to light the path for us, because we are now coming and just I'm so grateful. And just everyone else, come on. There's plenty of space. Just come on. We could really collectively do this. And it's a beautiful space to be. So yeah.
Thank you so much. That is the perfect place to leave off. This was such a great conversation. I cannot wait for the world to hear this.
Congratulations. You've finished another episode of the Well With Cannabis podcast and are one step closer to discovering how you too can live well with cannabis. Thank you for listening in today. We hope this episode has been a helpful and informative one. Please visit emilykylenutrition.com for more information on today's show notes, guest information, recipes, and other resources. If you want more support and encouragement on your cannabis journey, please consider joining the private Well With Cannabis community. In this group, you can connect with like-minded individuals focused on improving their health and wellness through cannabis. Join the group today to continue your journey of wellness together at emilykylenutrition.com.